Hi guys, so for today's video I decided I'd do something different, and instead of just sitting in front of you, I'm gonna show you my setup for drawing my pages, so you can have like a sneak peek to my process and see if it might be useful for you in any capacity. So welcome to my desktop. I actually had to clean up a lot of stuff that accumulates on my desktop. It's all in this folder. You don't want to look in there. It's like 506 files in there of absolutely random stuff. We're not gonna look in there. We're gonna look into my folder for my comic, and I just basically gonna show you how I start my work, how I organize files within my Photoshop, basically the whole process. So this is my folder, and I call it Book because I read it in a Russian way, but it will be TBOC, I guess. It stands for the Book of Contradictions, which is my graphic novel. It's ta-da here, if you want to check it out. But anyway, this is like I call it for short because it's obnoxiously long. I like the name, but it's very long to pronounce and to type. So here in this folder, I have the folder called Pigeon. Pigeon stands for Volume 1 of this whole comic. Because it used to be just a novel, I planned it to be a trilogy because trilogies were really popping back then, and I thought that you only can do fantasy in trilogies. But anyway, the story is structured in kind of 3 arcs, and first arc or first volume is called Pigeon. There will be 2 more as I approach them sometime, maybe, hopefully, oh my god. But yeah. And another folder called Effects. I just have this is where I started planning some like magical elements, whatever, when I'm playing with them, and try to kind of reuse them with pages to come. But we're going to be looking at Pigeon, Volume 1, and there I have all the chapters that are currently at work. Chapters 1 to 5 are currently being released. I think 5 has maybe like 5 to 7 pages left to be released online, so those chapters you can find on my website. And chapters 6, 7, and 8 are the ones are not yet been seen, but I'm currently working on chapter 7, so we're actually going to look at chapter 7. Hence, spoiler warning for someone who is actually following my story. We're going to be looking at 3 pages. I removed text from all of this, but obviously there is images in there, so there is a warning. You're not going to be spoiled for the whole story, by no means. No crazy secrets, just basically some, plot points that are happening. Chapter 8 is currently the stage of outline, so I have a little doodle for a cover, and like I'm literally outlining, doodling. It's not anything serious. Absolutely impossible to get spoiled from any of this. But basically this chapter is like getting ready to be worked on. It's not being worked on. The chapter that is currently at work is chapter 7. I'm gonna try not to go through, not go through here so we don't see a lot of images, but basically looking here, we have several pages that are actually finished. And yeah, sometimes this stuff occurs because naming is messy in the process. After I finish, I go and clean because sometimes I delete pages, sometimes I add extra pages, stuff happens. Or sometimes I delete the whole scene, redo the whole scene, add a scene, all of that. So normally there would be like already several pages around like one area that I finished, several pages that have been worked on, and several that have not been touched yet, except for obviously line art. So we're going to be looking at a couple of these pages. I'm actually going to do this. So people who still sneaking, even though they're reading the comics, so they're not going to getting that terribly spoiled. But anyway, we're going to look at 3 pages and to set up my whole working process. So at the level of folders and other apps in Photoshop, usually I always have this guy open, and I have Agenda. Somewhere around here, it's Agenda app. I don't know. I think it's called Agenda app. I don't know. It's some free app from App Store. So basically here I just keep count of all the chapters being is it being worked on? So for example, here I have just chapter 7, all the pages, and I just put done when the page is done, so I can just, it's very ghetto, you know, okay. Nothing super fancy and technological, I just need to see, you know, when the stuff is done. So I put done when it's completed, and then I can scroll and see, okay, the volume. Reminders. Yeah, so I can just understand how much is left. And then as I go, I put like reminders in the top of what I need to complete. I have to change dialogue, add tattoos, change dialogue. Some of the stuff that I have to, you know, revisit when the chapter is completed. And then I go and just go through months and keep record of all the pages that have been completed during this month, so I know how much I'm actually finishing within a month. What is my speed currently? Actually, this year I had a very low speed. I'm aiming for around 11 pages per month, but 8 is acceptable. 5 is low, but acceptable minimum if stuff really goes down. Like minimum of how I should get, like how many should I get out is 5, because I'm currently releasing the speed of 1 page per week. But I'm trying to shift to producing it twice as fast. So yeah. And December, only 2 I finished, but December is not over. Game is not over. I still can get some pages out, which I'm planning to do. So this is my setup from here. And we're gonna open Photoshop. Beloved Photoshop. I don't know where I would be without Photoshop. Here we go. All the pages are open. So I have a funny setup. Well, first of all, essential, absolute essential of my working process is this mini YouTube, because I always like consuming some information while I'm working. So I would just create this weird custom mosaic out of my windows, where I would have a main window of the page I'm currently working on and 2 pages over here. This is not the one. Here we go. Yeah, 2 pages that I'm working on over here. Yeah, there we go. So I can scroll through, for example, from this one, I would want to have this older crane lady's face. And from this one, for example, I want to have easy access to this girl's face colors. Basically, I need this, like I remember how characters look like most of the time. It's most likely for me to use the colors. So I can use a color picker. Is it color picker? Eyedropper, I'm sorry. I learned Photoshop when I was in Russia. We call it pipetka. That's hilarious. It's a hilarious word, you know. But yeah, so I would use this to grab colors from them, and you know, just continuity-wise, I was like, okay, she was sitting on this angle. This page is around this, like, you know, it's the page either next to it or before it. So it's gonna helps me to keep continuity with colors, continuity with lighting and everything. And here I would have a page that I'm working on, and yeah, so usually it's like zoomed in very closely and I work. Since I'm here, I just gonna maybe just run through how I organize my layers within the page. So I think it's pretty handy how I do it, like my little system over here. I have several folders. I don't usually name them because obviously I know what I'm doing. I don't need to name them. They're usually like folder 1, folder 2, layer 1, layer 2. So my page is organized. I have this layer which has like dividers between the frames, and it has text bubbles and obvious text. I removed it. Then I usually have a layer of color correction. It's like overall, after I finish drawing, I have a layer that helps unite all the colors. For example, in this case, we have a sunrise, it's foggy, and I have either lens flare. On several pages I have lens flare. On other pages I have colors going grayer because characters they enter in dangerous situation, and I want to dim the colors a little bit. So in here, I think whole page is just a little desaturated, and I think this page has a gradient because this page is 12 28 and this is 29. This comes before it, so we kind of like slowly go into desaturation, and on this page desaturation is full on. Then I have a folder that's called main, where I keep main drawing, basically main drawing. And what is not main drawing, I guess, it is lines that I usually start with. So usually the page would just look like that. So it would be lines, and I would use fill, as I call it, a fill folder, where I put basic colors underneath. So I have the main color scheme ready and like the base colors going. And I have BG. BG usually I drew prior to working on the scene, so I already have them for different angles. So I usually just, for the BGs, I usually paste them and I just mask each of the background for each frame. And what the main is, it's like me drawing on top of it. Then I usually just erase a little bit of the line, make them a little bit more transparent, and yeah, draw on top. And for my own productivity, again, I'm going to talk in another video how to be more productive and how, you know, go through stuff and get it done. I usually work at several pages at the same time, so that's why I say I usually have one open that is completed and two open that are in progress, because sometimes I switch between the two. I just flip them, or sometimes even if I feel like daring, I can just go and open. Though this is very spoilery one, but I can just go and open another page and drawing that, basically how much my Photoshop can handle, and I just switch between. If I'm just started working on this frame, I jump into this one, no problem. Or if I'm just getting tired and I'm realizing that I'm getting slow, I just jump in another page and start drawing something completely different. That basically my setup. I hope it was interesting. I hope it was helpful. If you have your own setup that you're using to draw your comic, let me know. I will be very interested to learn about it. Other than this, hope you're having a good day, and see you in my next video. Thank you, guys.